Welcome to the Movie Draft Podcast. I am Ethan Simi, and today I am joined by my co-host, Sophie Holsinger.
Hello, everybody.
And our returning guest for this episode, Kevin Mikos.
Hello, hello.
And today we are drafting adapted screenplays in a regular style draft. Kevin, welcome back to the pod. I think this is like round 4 for you, right? You're back for more.
I believe it is 4 or maybe 5. No, 5 sounds like a lot. I think it's 4.
I don't think we'll ever have anybody on for 5, so I think you're maxed. I gotta be honest.
Oh, I was so looking forward to my next appearance. It's
crazy.
crazy.
It's too threatening because like part of the Movie Draft pod is getting people in, and like it's a whirlwind of drafting, and I can't have you on the pod that much to like figure out our strategies, even though you know my strategy to a T.
Problem is I've come in last place like every time now, so I don't think I'm making much progress on the figuring out strategies front.
I'm not either, to be honest with you, and I'm on every episode, so don't feel too terribly. Sophie, what's up? You're sounding great on this pod.
Thanks, Ethan.
I'm gonna do it anyway. We were doing a little pre-pod, little talking before we started recording, and we found out that this is now episode 43. So we've been doing this show for 43 weeks, almost a year, really. And we just, Sophie just hasn't been using the right mic, and that's okay. But now you sound wonderful, and it's kind of honestly a power move on your end because you're like, guess what? Week 43, I'm gonna come in sounding crystal clear, and nobody's gonna know what's going on. Can't hear the subways in the background.
Yeah, I know you guys are gonna miss the subways. Don't even lie.
I know Kevin will.
I'm gonna miss the police cars specifically.
So Kevin, the first time you ever came on the pod is when we drafted original screenplays. Right after that pod, I think we were like talking afterwards and we're like, well, we got to do adapted screenplays. Like there's no way we can do an originals episode and not go adapted. So here you are. I feel like this has been in the works for a while.
Yeah, it has. And I think specifically we had the conversation because while we were prepping for original screenplays, I noticed how many adapted screenplays I wanted to draft on that one. So I knew I could come back and draft more on this one.
Yes. I wish that were the case. In my prepping for this episode, I was like, man, I'm not really getting a lot out here. I'm gonna be honest. So I feel like the originals draft was really, really fun in that regards, and this might be a little bit more of a wild card episode. Originally, we were gonna do a movie presidents draft for Election Day. Sophie, your pod, you struck that down. You said veto right across the desk.
I vetoed that for multiple reasons that we don't have to explain, but
no, I know that Joe and Kamala both called you up and they're like, look, we can't have this. Not on the pod. Trump was like, yeah, go for it. And you were like, you know what? We better not. I respect that. I was prepared to draft Ron Swanson from Civil War. That's all I'll say about that. That was going to be my number 1 pick.
That would be a crazy pick. I'd say spice it up. Let's have a real president's draft if you really want to.
Oh, man.
Aren't you a history major, Sophie? You know your stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Who's your favorite president? You James Madison guy?
Oh, I don't know if you should.
I'll follow Kevin's advice. Let's just end it there.
Yeah, veto it across the table one more time. Smart play. Okay, well, Sophie, speaking of the original screenplay draft, and speaking of you holding a lot of power, you did in fact win the original screenplay draft. I just wanted to put this in the doc, just kind of twofold here. One, obviously, I do want to remind the listeners that you mean business on this pod and you win. And two, I was hoping to throw you off your game and get your head a little big early on and be like, oh, I got this one in the bag, and then see your downfall. So now that I've said that out loud, it's no longer going to work. In your Oscar win or nom category, you took Marriage Story. Female written, you took When Harry Met Sally. Writer-director, you took Tar, and I think that's one of the best draft picks that's ever been done on this show. Debut feature, Good Will Hunting. Action horror comedy, you took Inglourious Bastards, and wild card, you took Broadcast News. You stand by that team today?
Yeah, looking at this now, this is like the best team I've ever had. And it's also the most me team. Like, this reflects me so well, all facets of me. I love it. Put this on my tombstone, please.
Drafted this team in episode 26 of the Movie Draft Podcast. Kevin, I don't remember what you and I drafted, and we didn't win, so I didn't write it on.
It was also a me team, but that was the problem once again. Is
Yeah, Kevin's just too authentic.
Drafting me teams on here.
Yeah, too authentic. Original screenplays, episode 12. We were a little bit in our infancy, I would say. So I'm not sure that we knew exactly what was happening. But Sophie, you of course knew exactly what was happening. Yeah, I had a great team. I had a fantastic team. Can I just run through my team real fast because this is incredible stuff? Fucking Spotlight, Oscar nom win. Okay, anyway, Lady Bird, Before Sunrise, Past Lives, Pulp Fiction, Uncut Gems. Talk about me team, you know?
Yeah.
Love to see it. Kevin, you want your team? I feel like I don't want to leave you out.
No, yeah, read it.
You took Notorious for Oscar win nom. After Sun, Beginners, Boys in the Hood, Dazed and Confused, and Showgirls, which I do just want to say, I have now seen Dazed and Confused, and I think that's a great pick.
Yeah, many would say so. Many would say the whole team is great.
I would say that.
Not enough said that, unfortunately. So that's the boat we're in. Sophie, do you think you got another win in the bag tonight? Can you keep the screenplay W alive?
I don't know. I mean, pre-pod I said I didn't really do much prep here, and I would agree with you, Ethan. I think original was more my speed. Like a lot of my favorites are original screenplays, so I was digging a little bit more here. So we'll see. I don't know.
Well, I'm glad that you feel that way because it means we have a shot. It means Kevin and I have a shot here. Thank God. Kevin, I'll start with you. I know we drafted original screenplays. Do you prefer adapted screenplays to original screenplays? Do you look for something different do you have a harder criteria you're judging against when a movie does have an adapted screenplay because it comes from a source?
I don't think I prefer one over the other, but I do think that generally a lot of people kind of only view it as a copying the original text kind of thing, where it's like, how true is the adaptation to the source? And that doesn't interest me as much. I mean, like, if the source is, a really good source, then I could find enjoyment in that. But I also am curious how people take a source and like transform it for the screen. So I like both sides of it.
What about you, Sophie?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I naturally kind of am drawn to original screenplays. I don't think I prefer one or the other, but I did find that a lot of my favorite movies are still adapted, but like what Kevin said, I think a lot of people are reading the text and saying is this a good adaptation? And that's not something that I really have ever cared about unless it's a young adult novel that I'm reading. Twilight. Here we
go again. Back on the young adult train.
Might even get picked in this draft.
Yeah, we'll see. Who's to say?
Wow.
So yeah, I don't know. I think my original screenplay bag was deeper, but I don't think I really have a preference.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I find myself kind of navigating towards original screenplays more often just because of what I don't know. I feel like what the film community has turned into in the last 12 to 18 months is we need original movies and let's go see Juror Number 2 in theaters, and then we can't. And so there is this push and pull of getting original stories to be told on the big screen again. But I don't prefer one over the other. I'm looking back at some of the nominees and winners of just the last few years, talking about Oscars. I won't spoil anything of if this is people's strategy or whatever, but it seems every year, especially last year, that there is a big conundrum with what applies for adapted and what doesn't. And so there is this really weird internal struggle, at least with the Academy now, of deeming things adapted or not. And Barbie was that last year. And I know that there will at least be a couple things this year that people are gunning for original when they might in fact want to be adapted. So I'm thinking of Amelia Perez. So I think it's a very interesting conversation for sure. Okay. I don't feel ready to draft, so that's where I'm at. Did you guys do any prep work for this draft? I know, Sophie, you said you didn't really do a lot of prep. Did you watch anything?
Watched nothing.
Sick. Honestly, that's the coolest thing in the world. I wish I could be you.
Kevin?
I can say that I was in the middle of watching a movie that I may or may not draft today right before this. I did not finish
actually,
it.
I was too.
I'm going to finish it after the pod, but I have seen the movie already.
What's going on?
So like half prep, I would say. I also, okay, if you need somebody to vamp, I have a little piece of adapted screenplay lore that I could share, a little backstory.
Toss it out. I want it.
So in school, I had an adapted screenplay class where I adapted a true crime story that takes place in New Jersey. I adapted it from an article for this script, and I'm writing the script. And since it was like a shorter class, I only had to write the first half of this feature-length script. But so the semester ends, I wrote half of an adaptation of this true crime story, and then I find out later on that this true crime article was bought by Netflix to be adapted already. So I was not allowed to do anything with the script. And then they turned it into a TV show, a Netflix original that sucked ass. And I just want Netflix to know that I am still available if they want to give it another shot in movie form. I have
another
half
round
of the script ready to go, and I can finish the rest. If for anybody who's familiar, the show was called, I think it was called Watcher. It's about the Watcher house. I don't know if
wait, I watched it.
Know about.
I don't know
Bad
what this
show.
is.
I didn't even. I watched the first
TV,
2 episodes,
but,
and I'm so familiar with the story because I researched it for 3 months, writing a script about it.
Wow.
I even visited the house, and then I watched it in Netflix form, and I was like, this is nothing like the real story. And so maybe I kind of do care a little bit about the source material being adapted accurately, because Netflix absolutely butchered this true crime story. But that's just a little piece of adapted screenplay lore.
Is this the show with Bobby Cannavale and Mia Farrow and Naomi Watts?
Indeed.
Wow.
It is indeed.
Fascinating. Yeah. Well, I'll never
would not recommend it. Yeah, would not recommend it. If you want to read a better version of it, I can send you a PDF.
Absolutely. Yeah. Any listener that wants to get their hands on that half script, and if you have a Netflix Connect, that this is the time. Make it happen, because Netflix, we got to do better. Geez, Kevin, what a lore, honestly. I appreciate that every time you come on this pod, we get a little bit more Kevin lore.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so special.
I have many stories to share. I've lived many lives.
It's so exciting. So special. I didn't do any prep work for this. I got to be honest with you guys. I'm prepping for every other draft that we're doing this month, of which I am ill prepared for several.
Yeah. Of which you've only watched 4 Tom Hanks movies. Is that correct?
What?
I might have lied on Twitter just to get a little bit of a reaction. I've seen more than 4, but less than the amount needed to draft in the draft. We'll just put it that way.
So 5.
Yeah, pretty close.
So the Toy Story movies.
Well, I don't want to give away my strategy. I feel like I have a really good shot at winning the Tom Hanks draft, so I can't speak on that at this point.
Just not much variety on that team. Just all 4 Toy Story movies, and
that's 1,000,000% my strategy. Yes, we will in fact be drafting teams of 4. So I'm just hoping that I can just get Toy Story 1 through 4. That's really where I'm at. Yeah.
Smart. Yeah.
So anyway, no draft prep for this pod. I feel like I should know enough, and I feel like we should all know enough because we like movies. I feel like the research for this was a little bit more strenuous than I had anticipated. And our categories, we did have to kind of take a little bit of a fork in the road. We had to switch out a category from our previous categories that we did for original screenplays, just because it was proving to be a little bit too difficult. So, we have 6 categories. One of them is new. I'm going to read through the categories, and then I have one more question for you guys before we draft. So very similar to original screenplay, we're going to be doing Oscar winner / nominee, female written, writer-director, so had to both write the script and direct the film, franchise or sequel. That is going to be our new category for this draft, action, horror, comedy, and then we have a wild card. Quite famously known as the first reformed category, and I stick by that. Anything that you guys think needs to be first round pick? I have a pretty good sense that there are definitely a first round that needs to be played out in a particular fashion. Like there's 3 movies, like just right off the cuff, that are going to get drafted.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what's going to happen.
Oh,
based on
I
what
don't
had in
either.
mind.
So
I
National
think-
Treasure Book of Secrets, not top of the list for you guys. Shit.
I think there's like some obvious kind of pick, but it's also going to come down kind of similar to the original screenplay draft to personal preference. Like there's some obvious greatest screenplays of all time that should be first round picks. I don't know if that means that they will be. But then there's also some picks where I like some of those picks specifically that I imagine both of you are eyeing. So I have them kind of marked on my list as like potential early picks.
Yeah, there's stuff. I gotta be honest. I don't want to go first. I really don't want to go first because I don't know what.
Feel like
I
stealing
want
a
to go
pick.
first.
I
You
feel
guys
like stealing
do?
a pick from someone.
Don't you dare.
What? You guys? Okay, man, that sucks because now I extra don't want to go first because I don't even know what it would be. I don't even know what I want to steal. Okay, teams of 6. We're drafting in a snake style. Nothing new there. Standard fashion here on the Movie Draft Pod. Any other questions before we spin for positions?
I think I'm good to go.
All set.
Okay, no more vamping necessary. That's unfortunate. Okay, so I have the spinner in Ben's absence, not here. I am going with a capital letter for each name, but then lowercase after that. So a proper name, fashion, not all lowercase, as Ben generally prefers, tries to get in people's heads. So we're going to spin. I'm going to tap to spin. You guys can see right here. Okay, we're going to tap to spin. I really just hope it's not me. God damn it. Fuck me. Are you kidding me?
Oof.
It's terrible.
That's okay. I'll be happy with second. I'm stealing my pick. I'm stealing Sophie's pick anyway, not Ethan.
That's terrible. Oh, cool.
Stop it.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
Are you kidding?
No.
Oh,
No.
no. Oh,
I like
Ooh,
the
I love being the middle.
tiniest
Oh,
hair.
wow. Okay. So I have the first pick. Sophie's got the middle.
Woohoo.
And then Kevin, you're going to be at the turn. A lot of power in the corner. See what can happen. Shoot. Now I really have to actually know what I'm going to do. Okay. Let's draft. The very first pick in the Adapted Screenplays draft. You guys are going to have to give me a second because I genuinely didn't think I was going to go first. And I actually didn't it didn't become reality that we were like drafting. I thought we were just going to like hang out and chat, to be honest with you guys. So like now I'm
Mine was one of those episodes too.
Strategy's no good.
Great episode.
Okay.
Well, I'll vamp for a second and say, Kay Meeks and I, we saw a movie together this weekend.
We
It
did.
was awesome.
Yeah. That's
We saw
true.
a memoir of a snail.
Yeah.
Nice. I actually just watched that about 2 hours ago.
Oh,
wow.
awesome. What'd you think?
I thought it was very precious.
Yeah,
Very
very
lovely,
cool.
lovely
We're all
little
in
film.
agreement then. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was lovely. I was tearing up next to Sophie. I was wiping tears.
Aw.
It was a very cute movie.
I watched Mary and Max today. Another
Oh, did
good
you?
movie. Mhm.
I'm very excited to check it out. And Sophie also saw Juror number 2 after we watched that, and I saw Juror number 2 yesterday. I
Mhm.
must say, one of the year's best. Speaking of great
God.
screenplays,
Come on, guys.
speaking of great screenplays,
That's not fair.
that's
Yeah,
that's
I'm
the
sorry,
good stuff.
Ethan.
That's the good
Yeah.
stuff right there. That's how you write one.
That's yeah. God, that's so not fair. I'm dying to see that movie. I will clue you guys. I have my pick, by the way. I know what I'm going with, but I will
Okay,
clue you
good.
guys in. I had a child-free weekend, and so my wife and I went out to dinner, and I had a pretty consistent buzz all day, I would say. And when I'm in this state of mind, I just want to talk about movies all the time. And my wife not plugged in like we are. And I told her the Juror number 2 problem and the issue, and she is so sweet and so kind, and she listened to my problems, and then was like, sounds like a good movie. And I was like, welcome to the club. I don't know. That was the takeaway. I wish I could see this film.
Yeah.
Okay. For the very first pick of the Adapted Screenplays draft, I'm going to quickly Google to make sure it is an adapted screenplay, so I don't get absolutely
What?
roasted. Come on, guys. I've been known to make mistakes before on the show. I'm
You're
like
just
I'm
checking.
like 99% positive. I need to know. I need to
I'm a
know.
little concerned.
I'm also concerned that I don't know. Okay, good. We're in the clear. All right. I am going to be taking an Oscar winner nomination. I'm going to be taking The Social Network, perhaps the greatest script that's ever been written.
No.
Do I feel good? Right?
So, Ethan,
you
did break up for 1 second.
Yeah, you did.
You
did
I
lose
really?
connection for a second, but then we heard it sped up.
And fuck you.
Yeah, which is also the pick that I was going to steal from Sophie. So we were
I was trying to play cool earlier. There's obviously a first pick, and it's this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You know, I also even just to tease it even more, I was gonna do an intro quote of The Social Network, but when Sophie didn't do a quote, I was like, I'm not gonna do a quote by myself. So I
yeah, what's up with that, guys? No quippy quotes.
I don't want to give anything away.
Yeah, but if Sophie did one, I had a Social Network quote prepared, but it's not on my team, so.
Well, I deeply apologize for cutting out. As listeners know, we get to keep in all the fun little tidbits in this show, and that's kind of what makes it fun sometimes. And I don't know why I just cut out for like 6 seconds. But yeah, The Social Network, obviously based on the book The Accidental Billionaires. I didn't really want to get on here and be like The Social Network, and then you guys try to flame me just because I didn't do my research. But I feel good about that.
I know you're very familiar with the source text. as we found out a minute ago.
Extremely familiar. I've read the book about 11 times.
I see the thing with The Social Network is that I don't know that this is very clearly the best pick in this stacked category. The Oscar nominees are so loaded, but I just wanted it on my team because I wanted to feel the thrill of stealing it from one of you, because I don't think there's going to be much more overlap after this. And this is like the pick that I knew everybody wanted. And it is like also possibly my favorite screenplay ever, but there's some good stuff in this Oscar category.
Oh yeah. It's the biggest category by far.
Yeah. I mean, the Oscar category actually just leaks into most of my picks for the other categories. They're just other Oscar nominees in different categories for the most part.
Well, The Social Network doesn't really apply to anything else except Wildcard. Am I right?
I believe that's correct. Yeah,
yep,
because Sorkin did not direct it.
Right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not a franchise or a sequel. Tough beat there.
I think fortunately not a sequel. Actually, it's very fortunate.
I guess you could probably make the cause that it's a horror comedy, but that's a conversation.
Has he not talked about writing some kind of follow-up? I'm pretty sure Sorkin is on the record saying that he wants to make a follow-up. That would be a disaster of a movie. I really would not want to see that movie, and I hope that he never gets the chance to do it.
Well, I don't know if any actors would do it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, there's
so I'm not sure how that would even work.
He's too busy writing op-ed pieces about what's going on in the White House. We gotta get the West Wing back. Yeah. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, he can do that.
He can. Yeah,
I'd be fine with that. I wouldn't watch it. I could leave it alone.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Nice.
A good pick though. Great
I'm on top of the world right now. I feel good about that.
Great pick.
I like it. It shakes things up a little bit.
Makes Sophie have to make a real choice.
Yeah. Now I have a real pick to make for sure. All right. I don't think I've ever had the privilege of drafting this film on this podcast before. I don't think. Maybe listeners will correct me. But it's one of my favorite movies. So I will be taking an Oscar nominee or winner, Casablanca, which is based on the unproduced stage play called Everybody Comes to Rick's. Just one of our great screenplays. I think we may have talked about it in the
movie quotes draft
together. Movie quotes. Yes, we did.
Because I got it on my team. So we talked about
there you go. But yeah, I mean, it's a screenplay that obviously has iconic dialogue and memorable lines, but it's also just a story about so many things, love and loss and sacrifice. And I think it just has like extremely well-defined and memorable characters. And it's tight and it's perfect. So Casablanca.
It's a pretty good pick.
It was on my short list for sure.
So we are I just want you guys to know we're 2 for 2 on the 3 that I said are going in the first round.
Really?
So you guys are like, what are you talking about?
Oh, wow.
I'm a hundo right now. So it's up to
cool.
Kevin. It's up to
I'm gonna
Kevin.
be honest. I did not see Casablanca as like a uniform.
Really?
That's like.
Oh.
I mean, it's certainly up there for the quote unquote greatest screenplays of all time. But I think there's at least a list of like 10 other movies that are more formidable, like obvious first rounders that I probably also won't pick here.
National Treasure, Book of Secrets. I told you.
Yeah.
See, that's the third. Just take it, and we'll get 3 for 3.
I'm fascinated by what this third one is.
I wish I could tell you what the answer is. I haven't decided yet. I think I'm gonna leave the Oscar category alone, actually, because I haven't really made up my mind about that one yet. There's too many good options. I would like to. Okay, I'm gonna go with another classic, another in the canon of those greatest movies of all time, I think. And I'm
You're really setting yourself up, and I don't think you know where you're gonna go.
No. I'm like, I'm like 90% sure, because this is a bit of a sneaky pick. I don't think you guys have this one even like on your radar. I'm going to take in female written It's a Wonderful Life, which has 3 co-writers, one of which is Frances Goodrich.
Wow.
How dare you say this wouldn't be on my list? How dare you?
I just didn't know if you had it in this category. I didn't know if you had it in this category because it's a sneaky pick since it has multiple writers.
A sneaky pick. I had it in writer-director combo as a sneaky pick. Because Mr. Frank is also credited as a writer, correct?
Indeed, yeah.
Okay. Wow. Very nice.
There's some cool ones here. I'll give them away later. There's some cool like sneaky picks that I didn't know about in the female written category, but It's a Wonderful Life was definitely the one where I was like, oh, this is like one of the great screenplays ever written. Also famously not nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay, and I don't believe nominated for any Oscars at all, actually, which is crazy.
That is
considering
nuts.
the reputation it has now. But yeah, I think it's one of the best. So I'm just gonna load up in that category. I'm
jealous.
Was not my third.
I'll say
so we went 2 for 3.
Okay.
Good effort.
Because the thing is like your third is probably on my radar. It's just probably in a category that I haven't decided on yet. And the thing is, I feel like I have a wealth of picks, so I'll let other people kind of take them first, so that it narrows down my options, hopefully. And then I'm really torn about this one category, but I feel like I should draft in this category next. Actually, I'm just gonna change my mind on that. In the action horror comedy category.
Whoa.
Ooh.
This is my slimmest category.
I'm scared.
I was very curious where people are going to go here.
In the action horror comedy category, I'm torn between
oh my God, I'm so scared.
two big options here. Can one of you say heads or tails? I'm gonna let you guys I have the options.
No, wait, I am not participating
I need somebody to call the coin.
In a blood decision here. I'm not gonna have this on my hands.
Somebody to call it. That's not fair. Don't make me pull out Google and ask them to flip the coin.
not.
Somebody just be helpful.
ask your ChatGPT. Get it on the phone.
I'll use Google. I'll flip a coin. That's fine.
Can Google do that? I thought Google did everything but
flipping it right now. Don't even worry about it. Okay, it landed on tails. I don't know if this is the right pick, but in action horror comedy, I'm going to take The Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Wow.
You might have been considering the other pick, which is also a horror movie, but I won't say what it is. They're both horror movies, but I think this might be the better choice. I don't know. Let's be honest. The script hasn't entirely aged the best, but but it is very well written. I'm a huge fan. And I actually just was at Barnes and Noble the other day and bought the Criterion for this movie. It's my most recent purchase because the sale just started. I was looking at all of the special features and I didn't realize that they have an endless list of them for this movie. So that's something that I will be exploring now that it's on my team. I think I'll have to rewatch it because I've been due for that.
Yeah, that's a great pick. I haven't seen this movie in forever. Is this still the last movie to win the Big Five? Is that still true?
I think so.
Hasn't there only been like 3 movies, and this?
Yeah, only 3 have won it. I know one was in the 40s, and then I guess the second was before.
I think this is the last one to do it.
I don't remember what the 3 are. That's a good trivia question that I don't have in the back of my like on command. But
I think that's an interesting conversation topic because I'm not sure a movie will ever do that again with the state of the Academy. I think that would be an interesting thing.
Yeah, it's a good conversation to have, I think. I mean, I guess Parasite would have been like the movie you'd expect to get the closest to doing it, and they didn't win a screenplay. I don't think. Maybe Moonlight as well for recent winners probably could have been close in that one, but
this is a great pick in the action horror comedy category.
Yeah, it's a slimmer category. I had like personality picks, obviously. Like I could have just taken Clue, but I don't want to do like the obvious me thing. I want to kind of try to build a real competitive roster here. I want to at least have a fighting chance at the vote. So I left Clue off, even though some people are going to say that I wasn't true to myself, but that's okay.
New strategy. I respect that. It's bold. Going for the people here. Okay. That's wow. First round +1 already done. Okay. Sophie, you're up.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to go in the same category of action, horror, comedy. But I don't even know why I was scared because I don't really think this is a movie that either of you have a relationship with. But going into this, I was like, okay, what writers, similar to for the original screenplay draft, I was like, what writers do I want to have on my team? Like for that one, I was like, I definitely need Nora. For this one, it was a little trickier, but someone that I knew I wanted to have on my team is Mr. William Goldman. So I will be selecting The Princess Bride in action horror comedy because it is a comedy. And this is just one of my favorite screenplays ever. I think it's so smart. It's hysterical. It's quotable. I don't know how often I've talked about it on this podcast, but it's just a very special movie to me. It's one of the first movies I ever remember watching and like calling a favorite movie of mine. And I think it's genius. It's, I don't know if I said this, it's adapted from William Goldman's novel. So yeah, I think it's incredible, but have you guys seen this movie? Okay.
It was on my longer list, but I think because I kind of had this category settled, I didn't even give it much consideration. But I think it's a very funny movie. I've only seen it once, but I think it's very good.
I haven't seen this movie.
Oh, devastating!
Oh no,
I'm sorry.
Ethan, you could watch this with your girls. Like,
yeah, this would be actually a perfect pick. Yeah,
good one. Okay,
it's really, really fun, and it holds up. Like the practical stuff is really good. It's a really great, like, sick at home on the weekends, cozy movie.
Okay, I'll have to put it into the rotation.
Yeah,
I'll have to put it in the rotation. Okay, it's good. I'm happy for you. I mean, directed by Rob Reiner. What else are you gonna say? Good stuff.
Yep.
Interesting. I did not think action horror comedy would be the second category really off the board here. This is interesting to me.
I think I know what your third movie is, and if I'm gonna see if you draft it right now. But I think I have an idea now that like the one that you were saying should be a first round pick. I think I might know. I think I've cracked the riddle. I'm pretty.
Hit me, guys. Tell
No,
me what
you
it is.
gotta
No, I'm not gonna
go.
say it. No,
No,
we'll see.
I don't know
We'll
what
see
I'm
if you say
picking.
it.
I don't know because
No,
Because
I'm saying
the thing is, I don't know if it's your next pick, but it will be my next pick, I think.
Ooh. Okay.
Okay, I gotta be honest with you guys. When you say that, it makes me about 100 times more nervous to make a pick. Really amplifies my anxiety.
That was my
so
goal.
I
Yeah,
just
that was the intention.
congratulations, you've done it.
And I hope you get it wrong, to be fair, because then that means it's on my team.
Oh, I kind of hope I get it wrong too, because then I don't hurt anybody's feelings. Then we can just all stay friends. I think I know what I'm gonna do. It feels not right for some reason, but I'm gonna stick to it. I'm gonna do it. So I know what this pick is gonna be. I don't know what my next pick is gonna be. We'll do for my second pick in this draft. I'm gonna go in the writer-director category, and I'm gonna be taking a movie that I have drafted before in other drafts, but I just can't. In my opinion, the script is too good, just too good to pass up in this draft. I'm going to be taking The Insider, directed by Michael Mann, written by Eric Roth and Michael Mann, based on The Man Who Knew Too Much by Mary Brenner. I just, you've got ups, you've got downs, you got lefts, you got rights. That whole sequence is just miraculous. I recently read an article, and you guys will have to help me out on who wrote it for Vulture, because it is like the 25th anniversary, I believe, of The Insider, talking about some of the behind the scenes of filming it, and how it's kind of more prevalent now more than ever. Incredible article. I couldn't pass this one up, though. This is good.
Yeah. I mean, we did bond over this movie the last time I was on the pod, or one of the last times I was on the pod.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the movie I was hinting at, but this is one of the top options for me in this category. So I was considering it for sure.
Nice.
And I think it's very clearly one of the best options on the list. Great script. My favorite thing about the movie, honestly, the script.
You know my favorite thing?
Movie. What is it?
Russell Crowe's glasses. I think they're
yeah.
really cool.
The good choices, Mom.
The aging of Russell Crowe.
I mean, doesn't he make this movie, and then 6 months later he has Gladiator come out and he's just shredded as hell?
They do come out pretty close to each other. I don't know what the schedules, like the filming schedules, were like, but release wise, they come out very close to each other. Yeah, I'm sure maybe there was more of a time to
you guys bonding over this. So I watched it.
Did you like it?
Podcast 5-star film.
That's pretty good, huh?
That's what they say.
That's what they say. Yeah, it just doesn't really get better than this. Yeah. I get extremely emotional when assholes put bullets in my mailbox. Fucking sick. Okay. And we got
Michael Mann underappreciated as a writer director.
Yeah. This is one of the all-timers dudes talking on cell phones movie as well.
Yeah.
Get on the
That would be a good
phone.
draft. We could work on that. A cell phone movies draft.
Ooh. It could be good.
Cell phone scenes, maybe. I don't know how that would be executed.
Cell phone scenes? No, that's good. We could do that. What is it? Law Abiding Citizen, where he opens his cell phone and blows his head up?
Fun fact. Never seen that one.
Fun fact. I saw that when I was a very formative. I had to be like 12 years old, and I was like, "That's the coolest thing."
I used to play on
life.
TV all the time when I was 12 years old, and I would just always. I never clicked on it, not once.
You missed out.
Yeah.
It came back to haunt you 10 years down the line. Tough. Okay.
You're planning on drafting it?
Well, the more we talk about it, the more I think about it. What do we do next? Okay. So there's a very clear pick this movie, but I've picked it before, and I don't want to take two movies that I've picked before. So I'm actually going to go with something that I haven't picked before, but it's in a similar vein. It might not play as well in this draft just based on namesake, but I think it's worth putting on here. In female written, I'm going to be taking what is actually my favorite out of this trilogy of films. I'm going to be taking Before Midnight. Julie Delpy has a writing credit on this film. I think this is, and it of course applies to this draft because it is based on the original Before Sunrise and Before Sunset before it. This is the hardest one of the three to watch, and I've only seen it once, and I think that speaks to, like, in my opinion, like why it is so good, because it is like the most confrontal of the three. And I could not pass up on the idea of having Ethan Hawke saying, "You are the fucking mayor of Crazy Town. Do you know that?" on my team. And I wanted that. And I like that.
This was also one of the sneaky picks on my female written list. So
yes,
both of the Before movies were on my sneaky picks for that one.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, I do think that I prefer the Before Midnight script if I had to choose between those two. I think it might be the best written out of the trilogy.
Interesting.
It's also a sneaky pick for maybe my favorite in the trilogy, but I have trouble deciding. I rewatched all three of them recently, and I think that they only complement each other, and so they're all kind of equally perfect, which is not a popular opinion. I think most people think that Before Midnight is a drop in quality, but I actually think that Before Midnight both makes the first two movies better, and the first two movies make Before Midnight better in turn. I feel like you can't. I feel like they're just one big movie.
Yeah. Also, like, pretty sick. Celine says, "Kissy, kissy, titty, titty, pussy," and Jesse goes, "I'm a man of simple pleasures."
Yeah,
just kind of doesn't get really any better.
Which one of them three do you think wrote that part?
Yeah, who did it?
That was Ethan Hawke for sure. There's no question about that. Yeah, I love Before Midnight. I just can't ever, like, on a much more serious note, like sunlight, sunset, we appear, we disappear. We are so important to some, but we are just passing through. Like, that's actually why I drafted it here. Yeah, I don't know if I can bring myself to rewatch this movie anytime soon. Not at the stage of my life that I'm in right now. But hey, Kevin, we're best friends, so I'm glad to hear that.
I'll rewatch it for you. I could definitely rewatch all three of them right now if I had to.
What's your ranking, Sophie? Where are you at on these three?
Well, I agree with you when you say that Before Midnight is the hardest to rewatch, so I've actually never rewatched it. But I revisit Sunrise and Sunset pretty often, and I think right now I'm leaning towards Sunset is the best.
Yeah. That seems like what you would pick.
Yeah.
That's not.
I can't tell if that's good or bad.
That sounded so mean. I didn't. As I was saying it, I was like, "Wait, that's gonna sound so fucked up."
That's
not what I meant. That's not what I meant.
It's so funny.
It just like matches. It just like matches your taste. Is what I meant.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It was the delivery that made it sound bad. I shouldn't have spaced the words out so much.
All right, Sophie, you got your third pick.
I do, and I'm torn because there's a movie that I would really like on my team, but I have talked about it a lot. But I also did revisit it recently, and so it's really on the brain. I think I really want it on my team. So I'm sorry for the repetitive nature. But in writer-director combo, I would like to take There Will Be Blood, written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson.
Great
guys,
great screenplay.
I rewatched this 2 nights ago. Holy shit. This movie
I know. I got a text about
it. Incredible. Like, truly, I think I love the screenplay so much because so much of the movie is so minimal in its dialogue, but when a monologue happens, it's like the most absurd grouping of words you've ever heard. Like, it's just incredible. And I talked about this, the three of us, on the quotes draft once again. Drafted I Drink Your Milkshake, but once again, that monologue is just like perfectly, I mean, obviously it's like delivered by the greatest actor of all time, but it's just like so well written and so smart and equally like dramatic and funny. I just think the screenplay is masterful, and yeah, it is on the brain because I just watched it. But
yeah, I saw that you logged this, and I got nervous for a second before I remembered that you just logged this. So no, but it's a great pick. Is that your stance for greatest actor of all time? You think it's Day-Lewis?
I mean, he's in the top 5. I don't know if I feel
Okay.
Wow.
comfortable if I feel comfortable
You
making that
feel
statement right
comfortable?
now.
Yeah. Okay.
But
That's fair. This that pick saves me. I'm in like such a good spot now. I'm on a
wow,
high right
okay.
now. I might even be drafting a counterpart of There Will Be Blood, a movie
Oh, nice.
that gets mentioned in many conversations with There Will
Yeah.
Be Blood. I don't know though yet.
Interesting.
We'll
Okay.
get back to that. We'll get back to that.
I haven't seen There Will Be Blood.
We know.
Yeah.
That's even worse than what Kevin just pulled
Add
on
another
you.
one to
That's
the list.
brutal.
Just
Whatever, man.
too many A24 movies.
Hey man, I got a pod to run. I got
He's
to put in the
seen
work.
Tusk, but he hasn't seen There Will Be Blood.
I did listen to that podcast, and I was impressed by I haven't seen Tusk, but I
haven't either.
I did not think that was going to be selected at all. I hadn't even
I
considered
stand by
it.
that. It's great.
Yeah.
It's a great
Yeah,
pick.
and I will say the First Reform stuff is a bit crazy, but I have
Kevin.
I have some beef with how genre is defined on the podcast. But so far that hasn't come up yet.
It's all out of control.
In the action horror comedy picks that have happened, but I guess Ethan hasn't picked his yet, so that he can.
We'll
he
see.
can always,
trust me,
he can
I'm
always
getting ready to
throw out
genre bend, baby.
a curveball in the action horror comedy category, and I'm ready. I'm ready to shoot it down.
I'm looking. Trust me. I'm doing some deep digging while you guys are making your picks. I'm trying to figure out where I'm headed.
So, in preparation for this pod, we discussed the idea of the first movie in a franchise being an option for the franchise or sequel category.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see why that couldn't be the case. And so
okay, well, hold on. You're moving really fast, Kevin. You're
you're
laying a lot of track.
I'm just saying,
and the train is coming quick.
If the movie is if the screenplay is so good that it warrants a franchise as a result, then I think it should be allowed.
I don't think so. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to twist us a little bit here. Look, I do.
Listen,
think
you're really going to mess up my draft if I'm not allowed to.
It's like, in my opinion, it is like the Before trilogy, because Before Sunset was an original screenplay, or Before Sunrise, excuse me, was an original screenplay, and then only the latter two were eligible for adapted. So I think because if it is eligible for Best Original Screenplay for the Academy Awards, it is an adapted screenplay.
It's an adapted screenplay.
It's an adapted screenplay, but a franchise was just spawned as a result of it.
Yeah. If it's
but it's still it's still an adaptive.
Yeah, the first movie in the franchise is still adapted from a book.
Okay.
Huh.
So I feel like it should be. I feel like it should be allowed.
It seems eligible. I'll do some fact checking while you say it, but it seems eligible.
You can do some fact checking. I'm gonna be honest. I'll be honest though. I think the franchise or sequel category is sneakily kind of stacked. I don't think you would. I don't think upon first glance you would think so. But there's like,
I got
when we get to honorable mentions at the end, I have some real shouts I want to make in this category because I think there's some movies that I'm not gonna pick that I'm sad that I'm not picking.
But I'm looking at Saw 5, Saw 6, just in case you guys are curious. That's where I'm headed on that category.
I'll just make what feels like the obvious pick to me, because it's one of my favorite screenplays ever. And in franchise or sequel, I will be taking Jaws, which
god,
spawned sequels and is
I didn't even think about that
screenplay. Funny enough, not that this is a universal experience, but at least for me, when I went to school, the first ever screenplay that they made us read in school was the screenplay for Jaws. And I was a big fan. This is like the script you want to read if you want to learn how to write scripts, because it is like pitch perfect, exactly how the story beat should go in a script. It's just great stuff. I mean, I know obviously a big topic of conversation in the screenplay draft is the dialogue, but I think aside from the dialogue, Jaws is just like perfect across the board if you actually ever get a chance to read the script. So I would recommend people do that. And I think that's why I made the pick. My other pick is actually also an option in this category, but I will take it in a different category. And I'm somehow shocked that it still hasn't gotten picked, because this is the thing that I thought Ethan was referring to that should have been a first rounder.
Okay.
In writer director, I will be selecting The Godfather.
Yeah, pretty good.
Good movie.
Good flick.
Is that the third one, Ethan? Can you confirm?
What am I confirming? Sorry, I was a little taken aback.
This was one of the picks that should have been a first
This is the 1,
rounder.
2, 3.
Oh, if it was the 1, 2, 3? No, I told you guys the third was National Treasure Book of Secrets.
Shut up.
What do you guys want
so
from me?
annoying.
I told you so many times. Yes, this was the third. It was The Godfather.
Okay.
Because once I looked at my list and I looked over it and I was like, The Godfather's still here, and I was like, that must be the one you were referring to. There's one other movie that I thought you might have been referring to that is still on the board and that I might pick later on, but I got a while until I get to pick again now, so we'll see if that happens. But The Godfather is The Godfather. I mean, it's like I don't know. I know. I feel like Sophie has talked about it a lot on the podcast, because I feel like you've drafted it in multiple drafts, but
like, is there even any like memorable quotes from that movie though? You know, like people don't talk about that movie a lot.
Oh yeah, did you take it in the quotes draft? I think you did, right?
Wait, what is it? Leave the gun, take the cannoli. Yeah.
You don't even remember the quote. It sounds like I made a bad pick.
I remembered.
Yeah, this is like an all-timer script. It's an all-timer movie, I guess, but definitely an all-timer script. And I feel like I had a little bit of room to let it sit, because I assumed, Sophie, you weren't going to take it since you drafted it multiple times in the past.
Yeah.
So I thought as a result I could kind of just like sneak it in the later rounds.
Wow, Jaws, The Godfather back to back is kind of crazy.
Round 3 and 4. That's insane.
I'm stacking the team as much as I can. If the people don't want to vote for me, I don't know what else to do. I've tried
Kevin
my hardest.
Has never looked like this before. Like it's like movies.
I did try to do this on the high school movies draft, but then Superbad was taken from me so early that it ruined the entire plan, and then I went off the rails as a result. But right now I'm pretty much getting everything I wanted, so
happy for you.
Yeah, that's cool. Good for you, man. That's crazy. The Godfather going in the 4th round is insane to me.
Yeah.
What happened? What transpired?
You guys didn't pick it. I don't know.
I'm just over here waxing poetic about before midnight having sex.
I could have sworn you were taking it instead of The Insider. I did not think that The Insider was going to be the pick there. I thought you were for sure about to take The Godfather. I thought you were like jumping with joy at the idea of it coming all the way back to you for your second pick, but
The Godfather's no Megalopolis. We'll just say that.
Okay.
We can leave with that. We can move forward, move to the next round.
Maybe it's best we do move forward. Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know where my head was at for franchise or sequel, but I was just coming up with nothing, and
not a lot of franchises out there these days. Got to be honest.
Yeah, there's none. There are no franchises left. Bring franchises back. That's my platform.
That's what they're all saying. I hear it all the
time. But Kevin picking Jaws reminded me of a little film that he likes called Jurassic Park.
And this is also on the list.
Yeah, I will be selecting Jurassic Park in franchise or sequel.
Have you read the book?
I have not, but
I had to read it for school when I was younger, and I hated it. Maybe why I like the movie so much.
Wow.
Yeah, but it was in like 7th grade or something.
Okay.
I think I'd probably enjoy it now if I had to guess.
Yeah. Dinosaurs eat man. Woman inherits the earth. Pretty good stuff.
Yeah. No, great script. I told you this category stuff. There's some other real contenders with Jurassic Park that I'm sure you didn't dive deep enough to consider because it's like hard to think of like in franchise brain, but Jurassic Park I think is, it's one of my favorite movies ever, so I'm not, I like it even more than Jaws, but I probably prefer the Jaws script a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, damn it. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I need you guys to keep this pod rolling because I wasn't ready.
I could chat. I could even just start throwing out my honorable mentions now if you need, just so you have ideas.
No, don't take me out of the draft. You know, I gotta stay draft brain here. Okay. But I gotta get. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This will be my 11th tab of research. I just need to get all aligned here. I'm getting out of control.
Are you discovering which movies are adapted screenplays live on the pod?
That's exactly what he's doing.
Okay. Not at all. No, it's not. Okay. I have a list.
A little peek behind the curtain is that you are completely unprepared.
I'm just trying to figure out. I've had genre trouble before, so I'm just trying to make sure that it fits. And this one I was looking at doesn't fit, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Kevin, you saw this coming. You knew that I was going to try and get a little dicey on the genres here.
I mean, I did see it coming, and I'm telling you, I'm ready to use the veto that I don't have.
Strike me down?
I'm going to call you out if you try to suggest a movie that is not a genre film in the genre category. Because I think we're a little bit too loose with the definition of genre around here. I think somebody needs to crack down on this.
I make my bread. I make my bread on genre promiscuity on this pod. Okay, I just try to get it all.
Yeah, but there's completely no checks and balances for you.
There doesn't need to be. I'm a dictator. Yeah. I can do whatever I want.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
You're really just trying to take me down, you know?
A little bit, yeah. I want to win. I'm hungry for a win. You gotta. Oh. Apparently, it's my last podcast appearance. Right
I've only racked up 2 wins over 40 plus episodes. So if anybody's hungry,
is that true?
It's this guy.
That's not true.
I'm pretty sure, guys. I'm pretty sure it's true.
That's really not good. If that's
I'm going to the wins track. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. 3. So I've had 3 wins. Rom-com, sports, and color. All basically all drafts that I notably selected really ambiguous titles for.
Yeah.
I got Mad Max Fury Road in the sports draft. That was sick.
That's crazy. Also, that's cool. That's a draft you need to redo so I could be on it because I'll make some real sports movie picks. I'll come prepared for that one. I'm a big sports movies guy.
Oh, crap. Oh, I'm no closer. I have 2 picks, right?
Yeah.
Then it's got to come back to me for a third.
Take your time, though. Don't even worry about it.
It puts me in a worse spot.
You can
think about how much better of a position you'd be in right now if you just took The Godfather in the second round instead.
Cool. Yeah. You never know. I mean, there is a Godfather Part 2 out there.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to look lame now.
It's going to look like I was the little brother where I was like, oh, he got The Godfather. I should take The Godfather Part 2.
You're following my lead. Honestly, if people vote for that, I feel like it's a little bit embarrassing on the voters' part.
Wow. First you slander me, then you slander the voters. That's brutal.
Listen, I'm just trying to get in their heads.
Sophie, you got to help me out. Bring me back a little.
Yeah. Well, I will give some clue into what I was referring to when I said I was watching a movie before this. My franchise or sequel was so thin that the only thing I had written down was Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1.
Oh, no.
And guess what? It was because I was watching it.
Yeah. I mean,
great movie.
Good movie to be watching. I don't know if we...
The screenplay
I don't know if we need to mention She Who Shall Not Be Named on the pod.
Oh, yeah, no. Exactly. Doesn't need to happen. But I mean...
I'm probably... No, yeah, she's the source text. I'm probably starting my Harry Potter binge soon here. I've been getting a lot of Harry Potter stuff on my social media the past 2 days, so I think it's time to jump into it. But that wasn't even on my list for franchises, just for reference.
No, but that's I know,
probably my favorite franchise.
Anything.
To be fair.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Well, I feel like taking this much time is really taking the air out of my pick, and I feel like whatever it's gonna be, it's gonna be poor. It's gonna be quite poor.
Well, it is if you set it up like that. Yeah, now you're draining all the energy out of the room.
I can't. The franchise sequel is a weird category because it is this franchise brain where I just have I have a ton of franchises written down and I didn't list down like the 7 individual movies in that franchise. So I'm like having a hard time delineating like, oh, what about this entry or that? Like, are these any good? Is there what's worth it in this category? I wrote down one single film and the rest are just franchises, like big, broad, general. So I'm going to go with the single film that I wrote down because I recently rewatched over the last couple of months and I think it's great. I know Sophie thinks it's great. Should it be drafted here? Who knows? In franchise sequel, I'm going to be taking Prometheus, which I think is honestly a pretty sick movie that does have a really cool script that just is constantly questioning like where humans and God fit together in the puzzle piece of time, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I agree. I really like. This was not on my list, but I do really like this movie. I'm quite a fan. It's like a movie for people who are really annoying about philosophy, is what I said when we did our Alien podcast. And I am somebody who's really annoying about philosophy, so I'm a big fan of this one.
I like a good philosophy script.
Yeah. Are you going to reference Megalopolis again, or?
Honestly, all we need to make the planet a better place is just movable walkways. That's pretty simple idea there. Yeah. Not much else to elaborate on.
That's also what they're saying. That's what I'm hearing. I think one of the candidates is running on that, actually.
Hey, Seinfeld had the deal way back in the 90s. We beat him to it. Alrighty. Action horror comedy seems to be a tough sell for me. I don't know. You guys came about it so quickly.
Need some advice?
There's a couple good things in there.
Yeah, hit me with some advice. What do you got?
Oh, well, I was just gonna list movies, but I don't want to spoil your pick. So.
No, do it. I literally don't have a pick.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for real. I mean, I have a short list.
I can tell you what my runner-ups were.
Saw 5 and Saw 6 is on that short list. I was being honest with you guys.
That's really bad. We need to work on that for sure. There's some all-timer picks. In fact, the movie that I flipped a coin over is still available.
What is it?
Really?
Tell us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if I should help your team that much. This is
you're in good standing, Kevin. You're in good.
I just want
a little bit of the juice.
It's a potentially draft-winning movie. It's like
okay. I think I know what it is then. So
it's one of the great scripts, I would say. Like one of the great horror scripts for sure.
The great horror script. I'm not close enough to the horror.
Do you want me to give you some more hints? It's a horror movie. It came out in the 19 I don't know the exact 1960s,
20th century,
the 1960s, perhaps.
Many
people reference it as one of the first of its kind.
Yep.
Guys,
it's directed by one of the great directors ever.
Okay, hold on. What if I guess wrong?
Now we're playing a guessing game.
What if I guess wrong? Well, no, that's the problem.
Now I don't even want you to draft it.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I want it, to be honest.
Okay. I mean, you're lost, but I was just trying to help.
Okay, wait. But honestly, what if I guess wrong, guys? What if I don't get it right?
There is another horror movie in the 70s that is also a great pick for this category. Also kind of one of the first of its kind.
Okay. All right. What is this? Are you guys referring to Psycho?
I am, yeah.
Okay, great. I will be taking Psycho in action horror comedy then. Great. I appreciate the help. That is extremely just really, really dicey stuff that just occurred on this podcast. But you know what? I appreciate it.
Collusion. People are saying collusion. They're saying
it's rigged.
Yeah, is what they're saying. That the draft, there needs to be a redraft.
I like Psycho. It's a great flick. I like Psycho. Seems like an undersell. I got to be honest. It's a masterclass movie.
As when I set it up, it's one of the great screenplays in history. And it's a steal this late in the draft.
Man, trust me, I'm going to hear about it from people. They're going to be like, "That shouldn't have been your movie." But guess what, guys?
I wasn't going to draft it.
I drafted it.
I had already taken Signs of the Lambs, but this was the other side of that coin. So.
Man, what a rocky journey it's been with you, Kevin, on this show. Best friends, we're enemies, we're back to best friends. who knows where we'll land.
I'm just a helping hand. I just like to talk and about movies specifically.
Okay, I've got Psycho, action horror comedy. Obviously, spawned a franchise.
Yeah,
as well. Okay, Sophie, you're up.
I'm up, and okay, you both have taken female written. I had a short list, and nothing has been taken. So I think this movie's kind of on the brain as well. I haven't seen it in a long time, but it's kind of like it's been all over my socials recently because the season is upon us. I'm going to be taking Carol, the 2015 film directed by Todd Haynes based on The Prince of Salt. Incredible screenplay.
Very high on my list.
Yeah, I haven't watched this in so long. I don't know how much I loved the movie, but I loved the screenplay. Like, I remember it sticking out to me so much and wanting to read it. I think it just really excels at character development and like in a very like deep emotional and psychological way, because it is such a like atmospheric movie, and the pacing and the structure is just incredible. Yeah, one of our great screenplays. I love it.
Great screenplays, and I'm here to tell you, if you rewatch the movie, it's somewhat of a masterpiece, some might say.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it was one of my top picks in this category. I'm actually so happy that it got drafted because I did not think that was going to happen. But this is like one of my favorite movies on my entire list. So it's a very cool pick. I respect it a lot. I'm jealous it's not on my team.
Nice. Good for you.
You haven't seen it?
It's a hard no on that one.
I'm sorry, Ethan.
It's been on my watch list for like 1,000 years. I just, it's only available on Paramount Plus and Netflix and everywhere else. I just haven't got around to it.
It's like Sophie said, it's the season, it's the time. If you were gonna watch it, we're getting close.
We're getting there.
Okay. Well, you come see me after we draft Tom Hanks' 1994 and every Miyazaki film possible. And then I'll let you know if I've seen Carol.
Okay. My last two picks. Oh, I so want to take something topical. But I wonder if I don't just go in the direction of another one of those draft winning picks. I feel like my team's kind of old, no? I feel like my team's not.
You say draft winning picks as if you know. You don't know, Kevin. You don't know what that pick would be.
I don't know, but I thought that this is one of the movies. There's a movie available. I still haven't taken my Oscar winner. It was what I'm hinting at. And there's a movie available in this category that I thought was one of the movies that you were referencing as like a first round pick. Except it hasn't been taken yet. So I guess I was wrong about that assumption. And I'm not sure if I take that or if I take like a fun pick. Because I have two picks here that are both very related to the moment in time that we're in right now, which is that the election is tomorrow as of recording.
True.
And I think both of those would be fun picks.
Do you think people will listen to this pod as election day gears up?
Perhaps.
Like this episode will drop on a Tuesday. If we could just be like your amuse bouche to the election, that'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, I've even snuck in a couple like election references just in chatting. So I feel like it's a good episode. People will look back on this episode and ask how it changed the outcome of the election.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, we were the final stepping stone to
the energy that we put into the air before. On the night before the election. And maybe my pick here has to do with that.
Look, I will just say quickly before you pick, on a much more serious note, this episode does come out on November 5th, Election Day. If you have yet to vote, please go vote. If you're in a state in which you do vote on November 5th, please stay in line. Vote and please exercise your right to vote. I live in Oregon. Sophie, I know you live in New York. You've mailed in your ballot. I've mailed in my ballot as well. Unfortunately, don't get to partake in standing and enjoying Election Day, but please vote. Okay. back to your regularly scheduled programming. Go ahead, Kevin.
I don't know how to follow that up. All I'm gonna say is that submit more than one ballot. Even maybe cast a couple if you have to. If you're in a swing state, maybe throw in a couple.
What you gotta do?
Crazy.
maybe contact your dead relatives. Okay,
This might be Kevin's last pod ever. That's Secret Service material there.
Yeah, I'm throwing out. I'm putting some heavy hitters out in the air if I'm going out swinging. Okay, God, this is such a tough category. Okay, I am going to take. Oh, I hate that I'm gonna pick the boring pick, but in an Oscar nominee / winner, I'll take 12 Angry Men, which I thought is the one that you guys were referencing as a first round pick.
That's what I thought Ethan's third was.
Would be drafted pretty high.
It was that and The Godfather.
I will reveal that the two that I thought would be more fun picks, the presidential picks, are All the President's Men.
Of course.
And JFK. All the President's Men is the movie that I am actually in the middle of watching right before this.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, I might cue that up tonight.
That's a great pre-election flick.
It is. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. It's been a while since I've watched it, I will say.
Wow.
One of the greatest. And honestly, maybe I'll just say it. This might not be good for for the fan results, but
say it.
I think it's a better script than 12 Angry Men even, but
ooh, I like that take.
I gotta pick the movie that the people will lean toward.
I think you made a mistake.
I think
I did as well, but the reason why I was comfortable making it is because I could only round out my team with a true wild card pick. And against the grain. It's not a Showgirls. Okay, this is also one of the great screenplays ever written. But I've shied away from personality picks this whole draft in favor of winning. So I'll in my wild card spot, I will take one personality pick to round out the team, and I'll take what's maybe my favorite screenplay in history, In a Lonely Place.
Nice.
Which I also drafted in the quotes draft. I'm repeating things. I'm sorry. It's the best. It is adapted, and I would recommend that people look up, if you've seen the movie or if you want to watch the movie, that you look up the synopsis of the book that it is based on, because at the beginning of the draft, we kind of talked about adapting stuff and staying true to the text. And I think that the movie is far different from the source material based on what I've read about the source material, and the direction that it takes it in is kind of fascinating, and why I think it's a really good pick here, because I might have mentioned this. I think I mentioned it on the high school draft. Nicholas Ray, the director, and his like politics and the kinds of movies he makes. And it just makes a lot of sense that he would take that book and flip the narrative in this direction to be about this thing. I don't want to give away too much, because the movie is, you have to like see the ending to understand the movie, and I don't want to ruin it for people, but this is a cool way to adapt a book into something entirely different. And it makes sense that Nicholas Ray is like the guy who directed it. And it's one of my favorite movies. So
nice.
Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No way, Sophie, you're up.
I was just going to say that since Kevin mentioned this on the quotes draft, I did watch it and I really enjoyed it. And a quick story. I'm convinced that half of the listeners of this podcast are just my family members, because I was home a couple weeks ago, and at the dinner table, my uncle was talking about the quotes draft. And he said that he heard the quote from In a Lonely Place, and like his heart broke, and he was like, that was the best pick that's ever happened on this podcast. And I was like,
what did I say?
Oh my God.
That makes me so happy. That makes me
unreal.
so, you have no idea. I'm going to think about that all night.
That's such a fabricated story. There's no way.
I wish it was.
That's so lovely.
They were typing up my picks at the dinner table.
Did your family watch the movie as a result, or just the quote?
I haven't checked in, but
I would
will.
recommend it.
Where is your family at on watching a new suggestion based on the pod? Because the last one didn't hit. We missed on the last one.
Oh yeah, what was that movie again? I remember hearing about
the
this.
Conversation.
Right.
It's so unreal.
Also,
That's
probably
crazy.
I haven't seen it, but also probably a good pre-election night movie if I had to guess. It's not directly related, but
yeah.
the vibe is very the political thriller vibe is there.
The right vibe for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of A Lonely Place, real quick, I had a ticket to see A Lonely Place at my local rep theater. They were doing like a one-night screening of it, and I had a ticket. And I was gonna go at the behest of your suggestion, Kevin. And then my life happened, and I couldn't go. And so I have basically withheld on seeing this film until I can experience it in a proper fashion. So
I recommend that you do that at some point. And I will add, I think I mentioned this on a previous episode, but this script is directly responsible for the script that I'm writing right now. In fact, I'm just copying this movie almost word for word and modernizing it. I'm doing somewhat of an adaptation of my own. I'm adapting a movie that already exists into a new one. So that's how good this screenplay is that I decided I'm going to just write the same one, but different, of course. I'm not,
Are you like chiseling it into stone tablets? Is that what's making it so different? You're like, this is going to be immortalized forever?
No. I'm just modernizing it. It's, it's a 75-year-old movie. A lot has happened in the past 75 years.
Fair. You got Bogart on Tinder in this one? How do you think he would fare
on Tinder?
Dating apps? Yeah.
Very well. If I
think
had
he would
to
do
guess.
well?
I mean, he is like, have you heard him speak? It's a beautiful thing. I mean, it's like,
I have, yes.
I don't think he would have any trouble on any dating apps, actually. Maybe not so much his character in this movie, who was a bit of a sketchy guy. But Bogart himself, I think, would fare well.
I'm proud of the work we've done here tonight. We've established that Bogart would fare well on dating apps. Sophie, you've got one pick and I've got one pick.
Okay. I've pulled out a book to read from for my final pick.
Oh God.
We're doing slam poetry.
Is this Old Testament or New Testament? What are we getting into here?
Well, okay. If I couldn't have The Social Network, you guys know what I have to have instead. Yeah. I'm not saying this is the best screenplay ever written, but it's a screenplay that I hold near and dear to my heart. And it's like probably the only screenplay that I've read multiple times and like actually enjoyed as just like a piece of writing.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be Oppenheimer.
Damn it. Fucking hell. I was going to do it.
I watched this 2 nights ago. Sometimes, letterbox logs are just like not real because I'll just like throw on the last hour of Oppenheimer, like the first hour of Oppenheimer. Like I've probably watched it like many more times than it says on there. But I just wanted to read one exchange that always sticks out to me that I just love. It's like so quippy. And I think that I mentioned this in one of my many Oppenheimer logs. But this movie just reminds me so much of The Social Network and that script and like Sorkinism because it's so quick and quippy and like the way that the dialogue is done is just like so similar.
I'm going to get my Oppenheimer book and read along with you.
Guys, my Oppenheimer book is in my house and I'm in the recording shed. Dang it.
So here's my Oppenheimer book. The exchange is as follows. It's between Oppenheimer and Groves. Ethan, take a picture of this. Right?
Sorry, what's the page? I had my headphones on.
The world, you're like, Ethan, take a pic.
This is book club. The page is page 59. It's Groves' introduction. Wow. They're talking back and forth, and there's just like this one brief moment where Oppenheimer says, "Why aren't you a general?" And Groves says, "They're making me one for this." And Oppenheimer says, "Maybe I'll have the same luck." And then Groves says, "A Nobel Prize for making a bomb." Oppenheimer says, "Alfred Nobel invented dynamite." Like, you're kidding.
Boom.
It's so good. It's so good. Yeah. And the fact that this screenplay is written in first person is so fun to read. I highly recommend it. Love loved this little book club chat that we just
Funny
had.
enough, you could see in my notes here when I went through the whole script, I was highlighting lines in the script, and the part that you just read from, I just circled the entire page and said this whole page.
That's all you have to say. This whole page.
Oh man,
it's too good. So Oppenheimer is my wild card pick.
Yeah, that's cool. We should just end the draft. I think I'm only going to turn in 5 picks. I don't think I can follow that.
Yeah, that was a real pod high, I think.
That was a real, like, I'm closing this draft out. That was a lot of energy. Cool. Well, my Oppenheimer screenplay connection is I purchased it before I went to New York Film Festival last year, I guess it would have been. And I the first morning of the fest, I got a bagel and a coffee. I went to Central Park and I read the whole thing, and it was sick.
Oh, that's lovely.
That was pretty fun. Okay.
Would recommend watching the movie along with reading the script.
The book.
It's a nice time. I spent 6 hours doing it. It was lovely.
Sounds awesome. I'm actually planning on doing that this Saturday with my 6 and 4-year-old. We're just gonna dive in.
Great idea. Great reading lesson, I think.
Yeah, we're gonna start our own book club. All right. Well, I've got a wild card pick, I guess. Anything goes. Can't be Oppenheimer, can it?
Except for original screenplays, of course.
Well, yes, that would be the nature of the.
Yeah. Just making sure. You said anything goes. I just wanted to clear it up.
You gotta keep me.
It's really not anything, actually. There's some pretty strict rules.
Keep me within the electric fence that we've established here, of course. Well, Sophie, I'll be honest, that really took me out. You know what mentioning Oppenheimer does on this pod. I get very sidetracked. It's like a squirrel. And I can't seem to refocus. I can't seem to get back on track here. This is not a good situation to be in. Shoot. Well, I feel like my team's actually pretty good, and I feel like I want to stay in the running for a win. But I don't know. You guys have pretty good teams too. Might just be an all out loss at this point. What do we do? It's making me nervous that nobody
We're
is
waiting.
It was just in my brain. I was just kind of running through like the Ethan picks, but I think Spotlight is an original.
Spotlight's original,
and First Reformed is as well. And I was
don't do this to me. Don't do this to me.
I was left with nothing, so I don't really know what the wild card pick here would be.
I have such a depth of movie fandom attached to
Is
my
Uncut
name.
Gems adapted?
Like these
I don't
three.
believe so.
It's like these 4 movies. Jesus. Okay, I'm going to go with a movie that might not get any big votes here, but I think I have a pretty good reason for picking this. I'm going to be picking in wildcard the 2015 film The Big Short, based on the book The Big Short by Michael Lewis. This is about as close as I can get on this draft to an uncut gem style of screenplay, of like writing, of energy and talking over one another with such impassioned frenzy. Ryan Gosling's character of Jared Vennett, just an all-time terrible on-screen haircut, and I respect him for that. And I love this movie. It's like one of my 10 favorite movies of all time. I just love this movie so much, and I know it's like really cool to be like Adam McKay is terrible at filmmaking, and maybe he is, but this is a good movie. I like this one, so I'm gonna pick it.
I haven't seen it. I have nothing to say.
I want to say something mean.
Wow, you don't like this movie?
Well, for starters, no, but also.
Well, you don't need to see anything else. That's it.
But
Conversation's over.
Also, The Wolf of Wall Street is still available.
I know. I understand. I'm trying to be. We've drafted The Wolf of Wall Street.
Okay, that's true.
I've drafted The Wolf of Wall Street. I know, Sophie, you've drafted Wolf of Wall Street. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've got No Country for Old Men on the board. We've got The Departed on the board. Like, we talk about these movies all the time. So I was trying to get a little.
That's fair.
That's a little bit something a little bit different. So. I appreciate you calling me up to the stand, and I defend myself.
Yeah, I think that's a good defense, but I am one of the annoying Adam McKay haters. In fact, maybe
fair.
My least favorite director. No, that's kind of mean. I don't think he's my least favorite director. He's just maybe like the guy that annoys me the most often.
Mm.
But I don't think he's the worst director. There's many worse
There's
ones.
worse. Yeah.
There's a long list of
There's
worse
worse.
ones, actually.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you got
Big Short's cool. It's like
you got Whiplash on
I'm
here as
also,
well. Like
it's
Whiplash
also
could have
just
been a good pick, but
yeah, it's also just like a subject that I don't find myself interested in very often.
okay.
You know,
I'm
it's probably the issue there.
I'm remarkably fascinated with the economic downturn of 2008. Like on a freakish level. I think the
just
economics of that is really cool.
Yeah, you know, there's like not the Wolf of Wall Street, but the movie Wall Street, the Oliver Stone movie. It's like anything, I don't know, like once it's like movies that have to do with economics or anything even closely related, if it's not the Wolf of Wall Street, I usually check out pretty early into the movie.
That's fair. That's fair. Cool. So I essentially lost the draft after Sophie just went on a book club rant. So that was cool. Way to put me in my place.
No, people love The Big Short. I would not sleep on that pick.
Do they? I don't see a lot of love for The Big Short these days.
I do.
The movie lost to time.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm going through some of the quotes and it's pretty good. There's a scene. There's a scene with Jeremy Strong, obviously like before Succession fame, where he's very like Succession coded at the end, and he's like basically doing Kendall, where like he's kind of choking himself, and he's just like, "How did this all happen? Why did we take part in this?" And it's pretty fucking heartbreaking. I got to be honest. Yeah. Okay. Ryan Gosling saying that's my quant. Good stuff. Okay. Let's go through our picks. We've accomplished our exercise here on the Movie Draft Pod. We have done an adapted screenplay draft. I'll start. I picked up The Social Network. Little flick. Sophie, you like this movie?
Mm-hmm.
In my Oscar winner nominee category, I picked up The Insider in writer director. Before Midnight in female written. Prometheus in the franchise / sequel category. Psycho in the action horror comedy franchise. Just want to give you guys credit. I appreciate that. That pick is dedicated to you. And The Big Short in my wildcard category. A pick dedicated solely to me. Sophie, you want to run through your team?
Yes. In Oscar winner / nominee, I took Casablanca. In action horror comedy, I took William Goldman's Princess Bride. In writer director, I took There Will Be Blood. In franchise sequel, I took Jurassic Park. Female written, I took Carol, and I took Oppenheimer in wildcard.
I took It's a Wonderful Life in female written. In action horror comedy, I took The Silence of the Lambs. In franchise or sequel, I took Jaws. In writer director, I took The Godfather. In Oscar winner / nominee, I took 12 Angry Men. And in wildcard, I took In a Lonely Place. And I am realizing now that the most modern movie on my list is 30 years old. And so if you are not of voting age, you probably are not selecting my team.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure the oldest movie on my team is like 1999. So that's sick. Yeah. I got my demographic right. There. Oh, that's true. Psycho. Well, I mean, everybody knows Psycho.
Yeah, sure.
My daughter knows Psycho. We watch it together all the time. Who do you guys think won? Guy, be honest here.
Who are the people going to show up? My personal vote, or who I think is going to win the poll?
I mean, look, if Arizona and Nevada had call it tonight, what are we going with here?
Kevin.
That's my team. Yeah, I'm confident.
That's sick. Cool. I'm happy for you. You know, I hope it takes until Friday to get these.
I don't think it'll win the poll, but I don't think it'll win the poll. But it is the team. It is the team that I'm probably the proudest of in all my appearances.
It is good. I think it would have been really sick if you picked The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2. That would have been cool.
That's a strategy that I will consider if I ever get invited back.
Yeah, well, it really depends. Hinges on if you win or you lose. Yeah. Should we do some quick honorable mentions before we get out of here, before we wrap up? Kevin, you said you've got a long list.
As I always do. Yeah.
Fire them off, man.
In the Oscar nominee category, I already mentioned All the President's Men and JFK. I think the two kind of obvious picks that didn't get mentioned, well, No Country for Old Men got mentioned. That's one of them. And then the kind of big obvious pick that didn't get mentioned in that category, Apocalypse Now, I think is one of the better ones. In female written, some of those sneaky picks. Of course, my favorite movie ever, 10 Things I Hate About You, which I thought would be a little too obvious, so I didn't pick that. I thought a really sneaky pick that I just did not know until I was researching for this draft is that V for Vendetta was written by the Wachowski sisters. They did not direct it, but they wrote the screenplay after making The Matrix. I don't know the story behind why they just did that, but it's cool. Gone Girl for female written, because I'm a big fan of Gillian Flynn. And sneaky pick again, also available in franchise, Lord of the Rings, any of the Lord of the Rings movies. Would be a great choice. And then writer director, I think some big ones would be Malcolm X, Killers of the Flower Moon. Somehow didn't get nominated for an Oscar. Don't know how that happened. Paths of Glory, Goodfellas, Children of Men. I think Moonlight, one of the best options here. And then franchise or sequel, sneaky pick, The Dark Knight, I think is just really good for like a big mainstream movie. I also already mentioned the Lord of the Rings, and then my real sneaky pick here that I would have loved to have drafted, but probably would not win me the draft, is Creed, which I think is like one of the best modern screenplays. Just like I think Creed is so well written. It's like shocking that it's technically the 8th movie or whatever in a franchise. And then action horror comedy, I kind of said Psycho and Silence of the Lambs were the ones I was picking between, but I also had The Wolf of Wall Street, of course, and I think a big one there would be The Exorcist. That was the other horror movie I was referencing. But that's my list, I guess.
It's a good list. Sophie?
Yeah, I had a lot of those. I think the ones that I'm sad I couldn't take, an Oscar nominee, I had The Philadelphia Story. Not a lot of people have seen that movie, but I think it's an incredible romantic comedy and deserves a shout. I had All the President's Men as well. Kramer versus Kramer is another script I really love. In writer-director combo, I had The Perks of Being a Wallflower because it's directed and written by the same man who wrote the book. I hate the book, but I love the movie. So I think that idea is really interesting because I think it's like one of the only times where a movie has like really exceeded the book for me. And I think it's interesting that it's by the same man who wrote the book and he kind of like got to improve upon it within a film. And I think the script is really great.
On my list.
Yeah, that's kind of, I mean, I had like, I'm sad I couldn't take any Scorsese directed movies. Like I would have loved to have Killers of the Flower Moon. Again, what a shame. Everyone stop what you're doing and go watch Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah,
because
it's actually unbelievable that 5 movies got
film.
picked for adapted screenplay over that. It's like, it's crazy. It really should have probably won the category, but
absolutely.
That's crazy.
So I'll end with that. Killers of the Flower Moon. What a picture.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive that you use your platform halfway through the pod to be like, let's make more franchises. Then you're like, everybody go watch a 3.5 hour movie right now by one of the greats. The range is quite impressive. Oscar winner nominee. I had a really like long list just so I had a lot of things that I could have chosen from. I did put Drive My Car on here and Moneyball.
My list too.
I put Brief Encounter on here. I thought that was worth a mention as well. I think that's a really good
Absolutely.
script.
Also on my list.
Wow, look at that.
Oh, you know what else I will throw out really quick? Most fun pick possibly in movie draft history, but didn't get taken for the adapted screenplay draft would have been Adaptation.
Oh yeah.
Would have been good.
I'm a known hater, but
yeah. But still would have been a silly fun pick, I think.
Yes, for sure.
I'm not a hater, but I like it.
Female written. I actually had Zola on here. I like Zola quite a lot. I think it's a pretty sharp script for like what the movie is, and of course based on a string of tweets. I put Eternals on here just to be funny. I thought that was cool. Of course, written by
that's an idea.
I believe
you could have taken it instead of Psycho.
Could have done it. It was on there. Writer director. I had A Star Is Born. My boy B Coops. You know, just no love on this episode. Tough beat for my guy. Franchise sequel, I said, like, I basically just listed all kinds of sequels. I put Top Gun Maverick on here, and I put The Batman. Those were kind of my two top picks. I did have The Dark Knight, also pretty high on my list. Action horror comedy, I just kind of didn't really have anything. I gotta be honest with you guys. I just put like action movies down. I put Napoleon Dynamite. I thought that would have been kind of funny. I like that movie. Nobody else on the planet likes that movie apparently. But you know,
I didn't know it was an adaptation.
Me either.
Yeah, adaptation of their short film that they made in school. And then they made it into a feature film. I did put Mission Impossible 3 on here. You know, the one Philip Seymour Hoffman, the rabbit's foot, pretty good stuff. Don't know if it's a good screenplay. It's a sick movie though. It's pretty good.
Yeah, not sure I could back that one up.
Pretty good stuff. Yeah. So that's that. Wow, that really human Chernobyl this thing. I really devolved. Kevin, congrats on the early win. I think if they're gonna call it, it's gonna look good for you. Sophie, I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed this pod. Massive thank you to Kevin for joining us on the draft. Kevin, if people want to find more of you, where can they find you at?
Yeah, if you haven't listened to me on the previous 3 episodes I've appeared on, you can listen to my podcast. It's called the Looks Like a Movie podcast, or you could find me on most social media, TikTok, Twitter, whatever. It's either K-Meeks or K-Meeks Film. Mostly just Twitter, I guess, as far as social media goes, and TikTok. But that's where I am. Yeah.
Go see Kevin out. Always putting up good takes. I'll get you to back my Mission Impossible 3 is a good screenplay take one day. Just
I like the movie. Twitter, I just you make it seem like a thin category when you're throwing Mission Impossible 3 out.
I told you I had Saw 5 and 6 on that list, man. I was committed. Thank you to Sophie for co-hosting with me. Appreciate it, Sophie.
Of course. Thanks for coming to my book club today.
It was great. It was a really wonderful time. I think we should do that here on the pod. Be sure to listen and subscribe to the Movie Draft Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes will be released weekly on Tuesdays. We'll see you then.